it's Trisha, and today I thought I'd go over one of the apps that I use in 100% of all the images I do, and that is Art Studio Pro. And I'll have a link for it in the description box. This particular app works the most like Photoshop for me. It does not have the same brushes and the nice drawing features that Procreate has, but it has everything else that I want in a layering app. And digital art is really like collage, only on your iPad instead of with physical paper. But that's the way I think of it. So if you think in terms of layers, that's what you're doing, is you're layering things on. When you open the app, you will come to this menu here. Art Studio Pro automatically saves everything to your iCloud. It creates an Art Studio Pro folder on your iCloud and will drop all of your images that you create with all of your layers into that folder. I go in and organize those into other folders later, but this is really good because if your app crashes, and believe me, all apps crash and all hard drives crash at some point, they will. Usually when you least want it to. So sometimes you have to reinstall the app. Sometimes you can retrieve your data. Sometimes you can't. So this is why this is set up as a redundancy so that you don't lose all of your hard work that you've put in, which is good. Procreate does not do that. You have to physically make a folder and upload it to the cloud, but it's easy to do in that app. But anyway, in this app, when you open the app, you have all of this right here, and this is the folder that I have. So up here on the left is where you can choose where you're looking for. Do you want things on your iPad? Do you want to look at your iCloud drive? Here's that folder I was telling you about. You have your download folder. I keep it on my recents because that's where I usually work. And then to get out of this, you just hit that little file symbol right there. And up here, you can tap on any of these to start your work. This is the image that we're just putting together a really simple image to show you how to use the app. And this is what I was working on. So to go back to your gallery, you hit this little arrow up here on the left. Now up here, you have a choice. You have any way that you want to view these. I don't like this because I'm an artist and I want to see the photos. So your X here will automatically take you to the most recent image you were editing. And the select button here allows you to select any of these options, and then you can, down at the bottom, you can share it, move it, delete it, and there's some more things you can upload it places. I don't want to do anything right now, so I'm going to tap off of that and click Done. Now, to create a new image, that's where you go into this plus button. And you can see at the top, you have New Empty Document, New from Photos, New from Files, and New from Clipboard, which is grayed out because I do not have anything copied to the clipboard. Now down here, you can see some recent activity that you've used. And we're going to go into New Empty Document. And I'm going to show you how to create your document. And all digital art is in pixels. And pixels are what comprise the image. The more pixels you have, the bigger the image. It is a rule in digital art that you can downsize easily, but you can't upsize, because if there aren't enough pixels in the image, when you make it bigger, they're going to have to spread out and you'll get a fuzzy image. So I like to work with images that are not horribly huge, unless there's somebody that wants something that big. But your width and your height are here, and 24 300 pixels is 8 inches, but you can change your units here. You can go here and you can change this to inches. And as you see, I have an 8 by 10. Now, resolution is also important. This is 300 pixels per inch, or dots per inch if you're using a printer. And this is a good size for print. 72 to 96 is what we see on our screens. So if you're making a small image for Instagram, you can go a little smaller. If you want to print this out as an 8 by 10, you're going to need to keep it at 300 dpi. And then we're going to click Create. And we have our document. Now, up here, let's see, what is it? These little lines up here, this is going to make your top menu disappear, which I don't ever want to do. I like to see everything right here. And under Art Studio Pro, you're going to have your preferences. And this is important, especially with the interface. If you are left-handed, there is a left-handed mode. And what that will do is put all your tools here on the right. I am not left-handed, so I'm going to go back and switch that. No, there it is. But it has a bunch of other preferences that you can look at and play with. And then you have your file menu where you can new, close, save, quick export, or export. And I use quick export most of the time unless I'm saving it to the cloud. And then I will export it as a Photoshop file format, which is also something that Art Studio Pro supports. Is you can save your images to the iCloud in Photoshop format, which preserves all the layers that you have. You can also record your canvas. I usually leave this on as recording so that at the end I can export my video and use that as a short. You can do that as well. Edit, copy, paste, transform, flip, and rotate are under the Edit menu. Under Image, you can resize your image, resize your canvas, flip and rotate your image. Adjust is important because this is where you're going to adjust your contrast, your saturation, your brightness. You can make it a black and white. You can play around with your temperature. You can invert your colors. You can do all kinds of things under the Adjust menu. And then under Layer, you'll have Add Mask. Masking is important too. I like to mask a lot because I don't like to just erase on a layer. And a mask will protect the layer, but will hide the things that you want to mask. You can group things, arrange, clipping masks. We discussed that in another video. I showed you how to make them, but I use them a lot. And then under Select, you've got Deselect, Reselect. You've got some stuff for selections. There's some filters here. I don't actually use any of these, but they are there if you want to blur something or sharpen something. You can do that. Now, these tools at the top, these are all customizable. So over here where you have the 3 dots, this is the group of all of the things that you can do. And if you click in these 3 dots, you can see what I have visible on my top bar. I have paint, I have wet paint, I have smudge, eraser, eyedropper, and that's to choose your colors. I have the move tool, a rectangular marquee, which means you're going to select with a square, in a square, elliptical, lasso, magic wand, the bucket fill, which will fill your entire area that you've selected with a color. And then these line and freehand, and I have add photos, so I can quickly add a photo to this. Grouping and ungrouping of the layers, and cropping. And these are all the things that I find to be important. But there's also all of these down here. Blur, Sharpen. Dodge means you're going to lighten something, and I'll show you that when we get to the image. And burn means you're going to darken something up. And sponge means that you're going to take an area and desaturate an area. Just remove all the color out of it. Zoom, pan, and there's some other things that you can add. So you can make this top bar totally customizable. Now, your favorites here are refer to brushes. Let me get out of that. Refer to some of your favorite brushes that you want to keep handy at all times. Well, first thing we're going to do is we're going to go up here under Add. You can also go up and under Add here. Add a layer from the photos. And I have made a little folder. And we're going to add this image here. This is just a picture of a wall or something. And I've made it a black and white, and I use it for texture quite a bit. It is just a gray, black and white background. So that's how you add a layer. And of course, I'm going to add something else, but let's see where the brushes are. Why isn't this one? Okay. All right, and over here, your layers panel, you can see that when I open a document, it automatically creates a layer on top of it. When you open a new document, if you open a photo, it won't put this layer on there. But I'm going to delete it because I'm not going to need it. So this is my first layer right here. So now I'm going to add my second little image, which is this one. And apparently I didn't select it right. It's there, and I'll show you what I did so that you can see. It dropped it in underneath this layer. You can move the layer by just dragging it up here. And then I'm going to kind of put it where I want it. And this is one of those little elements I made in a previous video. Now, in your layers palette, you have blend modes under pigment, and where it says normal, that's the blend mode this is in. And I've discussed blend modes before, but your first group here is darken or multiplying, and these all darken by removing some of the white pixels. Lighten does the opposite. It removes some of the black pixels, and the overlay group, which is what we're using for this one, will remove some of the midtones from the image. So we're going to leave this in overlay for this one. And you can also drop your opacity. If you find it's too much and you want to drop it down, you can. But now let's say I want to mask part of this image. I can do that by going up under Add Mask, and I usually use Reveal All, which means that this is going to stay visible, and you would paint with the color black, and over here you can choose your brush. And Art Studio Pro comes with lots of brushes, erasers, inking tools, painting tools, drawing tools, oil brushes. It comes with a lot of brushes. You can also import brushes in either Art Studio Pro's brush file format or in Photoshop's brush file format, which is a .abr, I believe. Anyway, you have a lot of brushes that you can use here. And then when you tap on this other circle, this is your color wheel. And if you want a black, which we're going to paint with black, you just choose your black. So now when I paint in here, you see I'm just removing the hard edge here, which is not really necessary, but let's just go ahead and do this. And so that's a way you can mask something. And if I want to come in here and edit this mask, let's say, oh, I want this a little straighter over here on the edge. You can do that by painting with white, and that will bring everything back. just like that. So now I'm going to make sure my top layer is selected before I add something else. So I'm going to go ahead and add this image right here. And this is a transparent image. This is an ink thing that I did on my gel plate. I'm going to put it in here. And I don't really want this black. I'm going to put something on top of it and make a clipping mask. So I'm going to go and add yet another image. This one, this ugly one right here. This is one of the ugliest gel prints I've ever done. It's just kind of a last pull of something. And it's not useful for me only in digital art. It's not something I would collage with. But I'm going to actually clip this by tapping on the layer. And you can rename your layer here. You can mask with a clipping mask. And the layer underneath needs to be a black and white, and it needs to have transparency. You need to remove the white pixels. But then you get this lovely thing here. And it's a little light, so I will go up under here to adjust, and I'm going to adjust my levels, which is similar to brightness and contrast, but I'm going to kind of bump it up just a little bit here. You can change the color too if you want to, but let's try that. So we're playing around here. You can move your hue slider and you can make it purple or blue. Ooh, I like that blue. And make sure you click on the accept button, the check. So now I want to add like a drop shadow to this image to pull it up just a little bit off the page. And you'll have to add it to your mask. And that's under here where you have some tools under here. Edit Effects, Drop Shadow. And the default is working fine for me. But you can add another layer from the bottom here by Add, which we don't want to do. Oh, down here on the left is your undo button. And you have a pretty good number of undos. I think there's like 99 or something like that. It's a lot of undos. Your special effects or FX, you can edit, disable, copy, clear. You can do all kinds of things with these. Let's go ahead and edit so you can see you can add a stroke to something, which is an outline basically. Ooh, I kind of like that. I'm going to leave that. You can bevel, emboss. You can add an inner shadow, an inner glow, an outer glow. You can do all kinds of things with your image once it's on here. So I think this is a very robust program, and it's not very much money for the iPad. In fact, they also have a desktop version of this app, which I don't have yet, but it's not expensive. I think it's like $20. I mean, think about the cost of Photoshop every month. But right now, I still have Photoshop, and I am leaning the more and more that I use my iPad, and actually the older I get, I don't want to sit at a desk. First off, my back is not going to handle it. I'm struggling with these back issues right now. Had my MRI, and now we're going to discuss my options, which he is sending me back to my surgeon, which is not fun. Anyway. Hopefully it won't be too bad. So basically, this is the beginning of Art Studio Pro. Art Studio Pro has a user manual. If you go up under Art Studio Pro and you go down to, where is it? Here, user manual. You can open it in Apple Books or download a PDF. And I have this in my downloads, which is in Files, Downloads, Art Studio Pro, User Manual. I highly suggest reading this. It goes over everything you want to do with this. I do not find a lot of tutorials on YouTube on this app. However, there are 100 million for Procreate. But Art Studio Pro is not as well known. I happen to love and adore this app. So I use this on literally every single image that I make. So at the end, what you want to do is you want to go ahead and save your image. And I'm going to quick export it as a PNG. PNG, JPEG. JPEG is a file type that uses compression, and it will, every time you save it as a JPEG over and over, it does compress it a little more. So eventually it isn't going to be useful for printing. But PNG is a file format that doesn't use the same compression type that JPEGs do. So, and it preserves transparency. So I save everything as a PNG just out of habit. Now, let's go ahead and export our movie. Canvas recording, export our video. I want the largest file size, which is only 7 seconds. Yeah. It's not very long, but if you have an editing program, even iMovie will, you can expand it. I use this for shorts all the time. Let's go look at the movie right here. Oh, what happened there? I must have hit something. Let's go back. See, you can still go back and fix that. And I'm going to save this again because now this is export, not quick export. So I get to choose my format. Next, save my image. And I'm going to redo that movie as well. Canvas recording, export video. It'll keep all of your steps. Preparing. Save the video. I must have hit something with my thumb. So there's our image. Not a very great one, but good enough for our tutorial purposes. And there's your movie. So I hope you've enjoyed this video on Art Studio Pro. I'm going to do Photodon next because that is another kind of addicting app that I kind of like to use. And I will see you next week. I hope y'all have a good one. Bye.